Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation TV with your host, Jeff Charles. Well, the verdict is in, and Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty on all charges. Naturally, this has elicited fiery debate over self-defense, white supremacy, and the evil of crossing state lines. I have Liberty Nation's legal affairs editor, Scott Cosenza, with me to hash this whole thing out. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Jeff, I am a state lines crossing expert, as a matter of fact. It's a pleasure to be here.
Are you a habitual state line crosser?
You know, I grew up 11 miles from another state, and I sit right now, I think less than 1 mile from a third state. So I've got state lines all over the place.
Then I guess that makes you a white supremacist. Anyway,
it was going to come out sooner. It was going to come out sooner or later. I suppose it's best to get these things out right away.
Yeah, I'm glad that it was with me. I feel honored. But so Rittenhouse was found not guilty on all charges. What's your take on this verdict?
Well, it's the only verdict that the facts supported. So I'm massively relieved, because if this isn't self-defense, then I don't know what is. In fact, I've referred to Rittenhouse, remember he was 17 when he did this, and a new gun owner. He's like an idiot savant of self-defense shooting. He only shot the people who it was legal for him to shoot when it was legal for him to shoot them. And I don't think many well-trained use of deadly force instructors, myself included, would have performed as well as Kyle Rittenhouse under the circumstances of having to fight for one's life like that. So that's sort of the practical legal notion, I think, that I have about it. The other part is just that the public has been massively lied to by the media, both, I think, in terms of both misrepresenting the facts due to ignorance, and also what seems like a campaign of misinformation about various aspects of the case to demonize Mr. Rittenhouse. Yeah,
I think so too. I mean, the media was very dishonest about this, even at the end of the trial, when they wouldn't show the defense's final argument. It was just all over the place. Now, but there was an area of confusion that confused me and a lot of other people. I was under the impression that Kyle was not allowed to have that gun legally, but the judge tossed out that charge. Can you explain why that is?
Sure. There's a kind of a little hiccup in Wisconsin law that allowed a person who was 17 years old, and they have to be 17, because if the law would have covered him if he were 16 and below. And if you're 18 or over, you are allowed to. So it's just a weird function of Wisconsin law, the way it was poorly drafted by the Wisconsin legislature, that let Mr. Rittenhouse have a long arm on the streets like this, openly carried. I'm sure that the Wisconsin legislature has gotten already to work addressing this, but Wisconsin has a long tradition of being a sportsman's paradise, basically, with hunting and so forth. And the law was originally written, it seems like, to accommodate youths who would carry a long arm while hunting. Now, you don't have to be hunting in order, for this to happen. So that's not sort of part of the law, but it's not illegal. In other words, what he did was not illegal. It just fit into this weird loophole, if you will, of Wisconsin law. So it was appropriate for the judge to dismiss that. They actually measured the firearm in court with a tape measure to make sure it fit within the certain confines of the law. It had to be, not a short-barreled device, for instance. It's just one of the many things that they charged him with that he wasn't guilty of. What can you say?
Well, so essentially, if you're under 18 or if you're 17 years old, you can carry a long gun as long as it's long enough for it to be legal. Is that kind of how it is?
In Wisconsin, if you are 17 years of age, yes. For the next 5 minutes, I would predict anyway.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So that actually helps me, so I can help clear it up for other people as well.
Just for the record, I guess we may as well say it because it is so widely misreported. Mr. Rittenhouse never did transport that firearm across state lines. Not that it would make a difference, by the way. There's no legal ramification for doing so. But as best, the legal ramification would be he most certainly was not able to possess it legally in his home state of Illinois. So the legal ramification would be that would be a violation of Illinois state law. But it wouldn't add anything to the charges in the Kenosha County case against him if he had come from another state with that firearm.
Gotcha. Okay. So last question. Why do you think that this case and the verdict are going to be so significant going forward? How do you see this playing into things?
Well, I think it was so significant because it started off as a Orange Man bad versus the world case. Donald Trump spoke out about it pretty quickly after the events. Joe Biden tweeted out this photo of Rittenhouse, calling him a racist, and then it just became a proxy war for the kind of Trump versus non-Trump people in the country. And then it became a proxy for all of those of us who are, know about and cherish our rights to self-defense and to keep and bear arms, when it was clear that they didn't have the evidence and we're going to go ahead and prosecute him anyway. And it seemed like just to fulfill this political vendetta.
Yeah, I agree. I think this whole thing was political from the beginning, but hopefully going forward, we can take politics out of things a little bit. I know that's wishful thinking, but I can always hope. But
I fear it's going to be worse rather than better, Jeff, but I pray that you're right. And I pray that does happen.
Me too. But either way, thank you for joining me. We're going to keep up with this.
Thanks, Jeff. Keep your powder dry.
Definitely. And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thank you for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, conservative news where truth matters.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.